So I've received thousands of messages from people asking me for book recommendations. And not one of them has ever given me any sort of context, no specific challenge that they're trying to solve or particular skill they're trying to develop. And I'll tell you why. It's because they're not really looking to accomplish anything. What they're actually looking for, unbeknownst to them, is for things to somehow be accomplished for them, searching for a magical book that will awaken them to a secret knowledge that will somehow unlock their ability to take infinite, effortless action. This book does not exist. And the reality of most modern self-help books is actually the opposite of what most people believe them to be, where the more that we consume them, the less able we are to actually do things. Self-help, more like self-destruction. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening and what you can do to get off the hamster wheel of endless self-help consumption and back on the path towards accomplishment. Let's begin. Number one, most modern self-help books cause more harm than good. The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins is a perfect example of how a well-intentioned book can cause more harm than good. This book can be summarized in a single sentence. The moment you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and physically move or your brain will stop you. It's actually a pretty amazing piece of advice, and I think anyone who has actually applied it would agree. But why, for a concept that can be fully summarized in a single sentence, do we need 239 fucking pages? I've read the book. The first 33 pages are literally just a build-up to how effective the 5-second rule is, along with how Mel discovered the rule for herself. Then on page 34 comes the actual explanation of the rule, and the remaining 205 pages are just an all-out assault on the intelligence of anyone who reads them. Testimonial after testimonial of people talking about how the 5-second rule changed their life. Some of them told from the perspective of Mel, and some of them just lazily copy and pasted from their Facebook group. Now, here's the thing. Anyone who actually reads this book through to the end will be weaker as a result. Let me explain. So, assuming it takes the average person the length of the audiobook to read through this entire book, the average person will have spent 7 hours and 35 minutes of their life reading a book whose sole piece of actionable advice is that you should take action on things within 5 seconds. In other words, you're reading a book that repeats over and over the importance of taking action within 5 seconds while spending 7 hours and 35 minutes positively reinforcing not taking action. And there are so many other modern self-help books that follow this exact same formula. They're blog posts that have somehow been bloated out to hundreds of pages. Half the book consists of useless anecdotes, while the other half is just the same information repeated over and over and over. Now, I could name names, but instead, I would actually love for you guys to comment below with the worst self-help books that you guys have read, and if somebody else has already posted that book, give their comment a thumbs up if you agree. I'm really curious to see who you guys think the worst offenders are. So now that we've established how these books preach action while conditioning inaction, I think it's time to take a good look at what makes them so popular. Number two, people read modern self-help books to feel good, not to improve. In the modern age, there's never a moment where we can't immediately access something that makes us feel good. We are born into a system where profit is the goal. And so by the time we've reached the age when we're able to start making decisions for ourselves, we've already been fully indoctrinated, hardwired to believe that we should always seek pleasure and avoid pain. Nowhere is this belief more destructive than when it comes to anything having to do with improving ourselves, where we should actually be seeking out pain and discomfort. To grow, we must challenge the beliefs that we most cherish. We have to push ourselves past our perceived limits. Pain and discomfort are indicators that we are actually growing. Modern books understand that we've been conditioned to seek out pleasure in every moment, and so their authors have been conditioned to help us achieve just that. Again, this is why most of them are packed to the gills with filler content like success stories. And listen, as a business owner, I completely understand the value of using social proof to help shape expectation. As humans, we're much more likely to embrace a particular concept or strategy if we're given examples of how those concepts or strategies have transformed the lives of other people. And using social proof in self-help books isn't anything new. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, published in 1937, starts off with a couple of amazing success stories of people who successfully applied the knowledge that the author is about to share. But unlike most modern self-help books, Hill then proceeds to actually share that knowledge with extreme attention to detail. I'm ashamed to admit this, but there was a time where I thought that The Secret was the greatest book ever written. Why did I think this? Because others had told me that it was the greatest book ever. Why did they think that? Because Oprah told them.
What?
After reading it, the idea that I could visualize an open parking space at the destination that I was headed to, and then magically, sometimes finding one, made me a believer. Years later, I mentioned my love of The Secret to a girlfriend who then proceeded to show me, point by point, why she thought the book was absolute garbage. How it conditions people to expect the universe to make things happen for them instead of just making things happen for themselves. Up until this point, I'd never heard anyone critique The Secret. And this actually made me realize that I never even had the faintest idea to think critically about it myself. And this is where I started to realize that most people don't read self-help books critically. They read them to feel good. They don't read self-help books to actually improve themselves. They read them to feel like they're improving themselves without actually having to do anything. Okay, so here's my official book recommendation. First, make sure that you have a goal. Then, choose a book whose information you can read slowly, no more than one chapter a day, and apply consistently towards the realization of that goal. The only way to learn something is to apply it. And over time, you'll find that some of what you apply will stick, and most of what you apply, you'll forget. This is completely normal, and it's part of the process of bringing information from theory to reality. Part of the process of becoming your own person with your own strengths and weaknesses. I find that a lot of people, especially those who are new to the concept of self-improvement, have the idea that they should be reading modern books because the knowledge is more recent and thus more relevant. This could not be further from the truth. Classic self-help books are considered classics because the information within those books is timeless. You'll find that these books are just as relevant today as when they were written. Books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff are all books that I've read and consider to contain incredible knowledge when read slowly and applied consistently. At some point, you could then graduate to books like the Tao Te Ching or Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. These are books that will require you to have already taken a massive amount of action in life to possibly be able to even begin to understand them. And if you're not ready, trust me, these books will let you know. And as always, if you want more content like this, you want to be notified first when the next video comes out, don't just subscribe, but make sure to click the goddamn bell icon. Unless your favorite book ever is The 5-Second Rule, in that case, you should probably get the fuck out of here.